Kila Kesla, Nugam Okwilakame, Kavlakamuskamadzawadeno. My traditional name is Okwilakame, coming from our Kwakwala speaking people. And my sport is soccer. And I've come to love that game, I've come to become that game, and I learned from that game, and it becomes my continued teacher. Kila Kesla, Ahem. First introduced to my sport, I was very, very young. I remember, I guess if our memories goes back 5 years old type of scenario, our village always played soccer. And as part of that, I would go behind the net, and when the boys were kicking the ball back and forth, the ball would go, over the line and backyard, and that's where I'd be one of those that helped fetch the ball. So there again, it started to give me a sense of, a role, I guess, in soccer, but at the same time, how do you learn how to kick? And, you have your own audience, and that's the village itself. And then you just start to recognize, I gotta learn how to kick this thing, or I don't look like I know the game. So anyway, it was about 5 that I really got entrenched in it in its own way. But I used to always tease people too, though, when I was in my mom's tummy, I would try to kick my ball away out of her tummy, do a banana kick. Anyway. Believing myself is, I think, I would like to think that when we make reference to Kinkum, our village, it has a river, it has mountains, it's got everything there. And our old people often rely and use the term medicine. Everything has medicine, everything has medicine. And as an experience itself, that became the teaching and the teacher in all this. And so from a confidence point of view, self-esteem point of view, leadership point of view, it was ready-made for me in its own way. Yeah. Oh, that's Uncle Pin, number 9. And how that came about was June Sports is one of our biggest events, soccer events, and it happens in Father's Day weekend. And so Sports Day, it started to pull in major teams as players in this team. One of which was our Wolves, many of our Kinkum Wolves, and another one was Guilford Island Breakers. And then you had the other one, of course, was the Alert Bay Cormorants. So those became sort of the major players. So anytime those 3 met, it was like a tribal warfare, in its good way. And so with that, I just, I guess from that point on, when I was a young guy, I saw this young fella. He was 49 years old at this time, and he was going up to receive an All-Star trophy, a most valuable player trophy. And I watched him go up the steps of that stand, and I said, I want to be like my Uncle Pin and get what his number was, number 9. So I've always been number 9, right here. And so there again, he became my hero. He became a lot of my inspirations. And even today, his daughter says, Alec, you've got to pack it in. And I look at her and says, number 9. And she kind of knew. Yeah, there is many teachings that come across, and one of which is it's very clear within our potlatch systems. We're very ceremonial, and I just find that our people have captured the spirit of nature as its teacher, and so it does certain ceremonies within its own season, and so we have relationships with the bird world, animal world, sea world, air world, everything. Everything has a spirit. and you start to learn how to believe in that. And then you go into a setting called a big house, and then you start to get it reenacted, through animal figures, concepts of the wind, concepts of the forest. We have a great cedar bark ceremony. That's how much we attribute this to our world on the West Coast, the cedar bark. And so there again, it's another example of honoring what the Creator has provided us. Makes everything connected and related to medicine, 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 medicine. Yeah, so. A big one is, I guess, the social aspects of life. If I can quickly describe what happens in our field at home. The field is right beside a church, the Anglican church. And so at 11 o'clock is when the bell rings for church to begin. And after church, that's when our afternoons start to kick into gear. And so at that time, there's a person that walks across up and down the village blowing a whistle. And the whistle signals to people, oh, there's a soccer game going to happen at 2 o'clock, And so people get prepared for that. They'll have a bite to eat and then make their way to the field. And the field is very defined as fields are, and they start to create circles of people, a lot of people, and the whole villagers. And so as part of that formula, and that it started, I didn't realize it at the time, it started to become a teacher for me until an elder coach, he's an elder coach, he says, you know what we used to do as coaches of our wolf team and our other teams? We would then listen to the people and learn to listen to how they, would cheer on their fellow team members, and it's how they cheered and why they cheered, the situation that they cheered for, we started to accept. Oh, they became sort of our assessment tool. They started to know who the good players were. They just did. And you had to know your soccer for that to be, accepted. And so I started to see this to our young ones. And this is where it's really important for you to, when you look around, a lot of times we look around for, guess who? Our parents. Parents. And little do we know that we're placing them as to where they belong. They're the ones that influence you and shape you to who you become. And so as part of this culmination of audiences, you've got a whole tribe there that becomes your parent, And so from an influential point of view, I see that as a real social connection. It goes back to good old June sports again, as to the, and after each tournament they do give medals out, and first place, second place, trophies, on and on. And so at that time, I felt special. Others recognize what you've done and how you've done it and why you've done it. Anyway, my dad, just a quick story. My dad, June sports is Father's Day. And so during that season, that's when salmon industry starts, sockeye season starts. And they used to travel up to Rivers Inlet from where we were located. And Dad was getting ready to go. And I remember him sitting on a stool here. And so at halftime, I went to him during one of my games. And I said, Dad, any advice on what I could do to improve my game? He looked at me and says, don't chew gum. That was what he said, don't chew gum. That was it. In this case, what just quickly came to my mind was our son. He completed suicide when he was 18, 19. And in that, he was one of the best soccer players I came across in his own way. And so with that came another opportunity, I guess I can look back on it now, as a teaching. And we would started to learn how to get together as a family, and we learned how to talk with one another, and we would dine with one another, and you started this, what do you call, circle talk. You just learn how to talk circle and what was involved in that. And I thought, when did you start learning that? And that was after Darren had done what he did. And so with that was an example of, I guess I call personal growth in communications, self-confidence, and learning your truth and not be afraid of that truth. And so there again, it started to translate itself into, I guess, other personal journeys in life. And so my mind then quickly goes to another page where I'm the chair of the North American Indigenous Games. And so the game was in here in Victoria, okay? And I'm the chair here, and I go in front, and one of my jobs was to declare the games open. And it's alcohol and drug-free and racist-free. That was the statement to be made. So anyway, just before that set of games, we were in Nova Scotia and getting ready for the games, the logistics of the games. And so I was there by myself. I was at a place called Mystic Lake Casino in Minnesota. And so I mean, what happened there was I ended up being in the casino, and I'm sitting by myself. And I'm at a table, and I had my hands up, and I was still drinking at that time. I ordered a Ryan 7. So the waiter comes and places Ryan 7 in front of me, and there's something was just niggling away at me. And so as time unfolded, I asked for, can you bring me some coffee? You know, but leave that Ryan 7 there. So they brought me coffee, and I started to have that coffee. Then I asked myself, what are you doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because it now fast forwarded this to me at the Indigenous Games. I'm going to declare these games alcohol and drug-free. And I kind of start to know that the young people will read between the lines with you. And so if I try to tell a tale that I'm alcohol and drug-free, yeah, right. So anyway, in saying that, I then I turned the page real fast in its own way. And before the games itself, I didn't have anything to drink. And I said, you need to learn how to walk your talk, to walk your talk. From a personal growth point of view again, that was a classic example of what brought me there. And that's where I look at the games themselves and says, the theme of the games itself is so true. It's strong and true. And strong, brave, and true is the theme, the word that comes with Indigenous Games. And so living, I guess working with that and living with that became my strongest teacher, one of my strongest teachers. Yeah. Sport mean to me, it is so valuable in so many different ways, and little did I know how valuable it was going to become, you know. And I look at what we're doing right now. How do you do a promotional video? Well, it comes through stories, it comes through a truth about it. And but at the same time, I made reference to our old type old-timer games. And the social aspects of it, in my mind, is so invaluable. It's just, it allows me to tell a truth about who we are as a people, you know, and to an audience that is yearning to learn more about who we are. And then that term reconciliation is a real theme here. And as a residential school student, I would say without the residential schools, there'd be no, in my mind, no theme of reconciliation flowing from that. So there again, the opportunities are there, and just to learn from each other. And I do play, engage in youth soccer. And there again, the teaching, the learning, and how young people teach you how to become a better adult, better coach, better, you know, expression of life. I learned that through here. And so there's so many other aspects that come with this, you know. I would say, I think we learned this with our elders too, is the term gratitude. You know, how am I grateful for what I do have, what might be in store for me, and it's the gratitude piece, you know, and how you start to acknowledge that through prayers, through songs, through rituals, through, you know, whoever you are, you give thanks. You give thanks for that. And yeah.
Yeah, hallelujah.